be something as a junior and senior in high school.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
You have to pass it. And if you're taking graduate, it should be required. One of the required credits.
By the way,
Plain and simple.
congratulations.
Balancing a checkbook while we like the dishes, learning how to unplug a brain There's certain things that trade schools that we don't learn anymore because we put college. You know what? I don't even know as my 5 times 7 to the 8 power is ABC.
They're coming back.
I need to know how to make this. I need to know how to not use a microwave. You know, there's certain things
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to People in the Boxes. I actually didn't change my screen, as it is episode number 73, right? Put that down real quick. Yeah, People in the Boxes, guys. It is Thursday night. It is 12/14/2023, and we've got a pretty spicy one for you tonight. Got a lot going on, actually. Everybody, super busy in the holidays and whatnot. And some people are sick. There's a lot of things happening in the Canna family. We've got a lot of people that are having medical conditions and things like that. So definitely keep our hearts and minds out there for everybody as we have a conversation tonight. So tonight, I wanted to pull up the OTP here about my background. So, guys, People in the Boxes, it's a show that I made so that we could do just what we're about to do tonight, and that is talk to each other about the difficult topics, the topics that we all have a little bit of a say in, or some kind of an opinion on, that has to do with our own lives and what we might have experienced, because we can argue with people on our opinions all day, but you can't argue with my actual experience on something, right? So tonight's topic is relationships and dating. Now, it's not just romantic, because every relationship has a connection to this, right? So humans, we have to procreate to survive and to have children and to do all this. So every bit of human interaction has to do with these subjects. I mean, dating obviously leads to what? Kids, grandkids, extended family, and so it all connects in a way. So before we get too far, guys, if you could hit that like button, smash it if you will, and share it out with your friends, because this is a very important topic tonight. And all we have with us for this evening is Miss Kim hanging out. What's up, Kim? How are you?
I'm good. It's been finals week, so actually my brain is pretty fried. It's been a week.
finals week, got to be their busiest week, and also around holidays, which is like it's always insane anyway. So I can imagine. So
Yeah.
thank you for coming. You know, I mean, listen, you're always welcome to
Thanks for
pass
having
out
me.
on the screen if you want. You know, you can just like there you go. I'll just so guys, thanks for coming. We got 16 people already in the house. I would like to see. Well, we got Eric over on the Rumble. Thank you, Eric. 7 over on the Rumble. Heck yeah. I'd like to see if we could get some people up on the screen tonight. Listen, tonight's topic doesn't have to be, you know, who was the last person you slept with or when was the last time you kissed somebody. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at your whole life, right? Let's think back. When was your first childhood, you know, romance? When was your first kiss? Did you ever go on a date as a kid, you know, with like the whole thing with the flower and, you know, with the corsage and whatnot at like a dance, you know, was that one of your first times? Or let's talk about relationships with our families. You know, like anytime you have connections with people, you have, you know, the possibility of falling out or you know, disagreeing, arguments, all those things. But what else is the purpose to life? Would you be fine with just being alone on the planet? You know, we have to talk to each other. We have to make things work. A lot of people think you can just avoid certain topics, certain subjects. That's not what we do here at Maccabees Live Market on People in the Boxes. We don't avoid the topics. We don't avoid the subjects, but we try to maybe think of ways to talk about them that doesn't just piss everybody off. You know, there's always nuance to things, right? What's up, Heather? Guys, I'm going to stick the link in the chat in case anybody wants to come by. If you guys could, I did share out to a bunch of groups this time. They actually let me for a change. So we didn't get booted, I don't think. Okay, okay, we're good. We are live on Kick, on Rumble, on X, on Twitch, and YouTube. Also Facebook, of course. But, hey, what's up, Kat? Hi, Heather, Dolores, Jane Doe, Michelle Paris, Denise. Let's see, who else we got? Michael Gray, Jeremy Phelps. Mike isn't sounding right. Do I sound okay, Kim?
When you first came on, your mic was sounding kind of weird, but it's cleared up.
Yeah, sometimes this like connection is a little loose or something like that. And oh, jeez.
Yeah, it sounded kind of muffled, or I don't know.
Kind of reminds me of my son. My son talks in this special voice that he has now. He created it's like the hippo voice, and he goes, "Oh, can you give me?" I'm like, I can hear what he's saying, but I give it back to him. I just give it right back to him. Oh, don't know. Can I give you that? And I go, he just goes crazy with it. It's funny. It's funny. What's up, Charlene? We got Charlene in the house. Cat K. Miss Cat K stopping through. She's always spending the time on the reels and the pictures and stuff. Who else we got up in here? Oh, we actually got Cat in the house. Cat in the cat house.
Hi.
Hello, Cat.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm just going back to make sure I say hi to everybody. We got Trent Allgood. We got James Brown in the house. Wow. We got Kim. Oh, stop, Sam. Look at that. We got Kim Axel in the house, guys. Chuck, what's up, Chuck? And Eric. All right, I think I got everybody. Awesome. So let's try to keep it light, guys. Let's try to keep it light. I don't want it. It's not necessarily a men versus women type of thing, but there is a lot of nuance, especially as it's changed throughout our lives. Like everybody, I used to. Okay, I've had this written down for a while. And I kept wanting to go into this topic somehow. And I kept thinking dating in 2023, you know, but then that's sort of like, that's a whole different topic, basically, because like dating today is so different than it used to be that, you know, we could spend the whole time just talking about that. But I'm a very traditional kind of guy. I like the standard classic gentlemanly type date, you know, but that stuff gets expensive these days. What about you? You got two ladies on the screen. Do you think, and you don't have to have had this situation, but if somebody asked you out and you said yes, would it be okay for you to have that person pick you up at your home nowadays? That has seemed to go by the wayside. The whole, like, the man comes and picks you up, you know?
Well, depending if you know this person and if you're perfectly fine with them knowing where you live. If it's someone, you know, you're just meeting for the first time and stuff, I can understand in today's society of having fears of somebody knowing where you live, or to even go on a date with somebody now that you've met through, you know, an online source or through a friend of a friend. It can definitely feel uneasy in a lot of ways. But I feel like if someone you know and stuff, it's definitely a nice thing to do for them to pick you up. But when you're saying about expensive, I'm like, man, honestly, to me, it's just the thought of having someone like think about even planning something, like just to even pick me up and like, oh, want to go to a drive to a certain place. Like it could be a sunset, it could
out
be
in
a
the
freaking
country, an abandoned farm out in the country.
no, nothing like that. I just mean even for them to have the thought and actually come up with a plan. Like, hey, I'm gonna pick you up at 5 and we're gonna go, watch this happen or just watch the sunset or something like that. Like
there's ways to do it cheaper, right?
The thought's important, I think.
For sure. But I mean, I don't know though. I have to say that like a first date, and if you don't know that person that well, there's another thing besides the whole like picking them up. It's we got to meet in a public place somewhere with lots of people, for the first date. Like have you ever been on a blind date? Anyone in the comments? Has anyone been on a blind date? That used to be a thing. I don't know if it's really a big thing anymore. It's like you got Snapchat. It's like you're not blind at all. You got
everything.
You've seen everything already before you even got them in person. Like, oh, okay, I got it all.
No doubt. But
Justin, what's up, Justin? You want to come up and hang out, man? We can shout out your what do you call it? What's the word? What's benefit? I guess is the right word. I went on a date with someone that was blind before. Wow. Okay. That brings a new meaning to it. If you're telling the truth, Mike, I don't see an LOL, so maybe we'll go with it. What's up, Lauren? I haven't dated in 3 years. Last time I tried, it was all guys that wanted one thing: cats. They wanted cats. I think she's saying. The dating scene is Miami is garbage, unfortunately. Miami, yeah, I guess like you find tons of like tourists, the whole tourist dating thing, and then you have all sorts of new things nowadays. You've got thruples and what's the situationships, and you've got all these things now. You've got sister wives. Kim's like a thruple, Kim. That's where you're a 3-person couple.
Oh, hell to the no.
A thruple.
I don't share my meat.
Whoa! All right, okay.
That's the thing. Some people really just don't.
Sorry.
Oh no! What were you saying, Waylon?
What if it's 2 men, Kim? Like what if?
Hell no.
No. All right. What's up, Misty? What's up, Ted? Guys, anybody want to come up and share with us? Come on, it's a fun topic. It's a fun subject. Let's make it. Let's not be scared of it. Come on up and share with us. Justin, I don't know if I saw you respond or not, but yeah, bro, if you want to come up, let's hear about your son's benefit. I definitely want to push that out a little bit. No, she's saying pussy. I know, Jane. Thank you for appreciate that. No, but like honestly though, that is the case. A lot of people are looking for that. But I'll give you the opposite view that I don't think ladies see a whole lot, and that's that there are a lot of women that just want to take advantage of men in the other way now. Yeah, not sexually necessarily, but there's that too. There's the hoe environment on both sides of the gender, right? But then there's the whole fact that a lot of women are like, hey, I get on this dating site, I go on a whole bunch of free dates, go to a bunch of nice places, get some free meal, and no worries.
Full enough.
See you later. See you later. Thanks for the date. $150. No worries. Thanks for that steak. It was okay. Like whatever the situation is, and that's scary too, especially for men that are trying to hit you with the link. Okay, Justin, I got the link out on my page, Waylon Indoor Farmer. I'm going to stick it out there again.
He's on my site, Waylon. I know. I just didn't want to leave over here to go find him. I got you, bro. I got you. I'm coming. I've got some good news actually to put out there. Actually, I want to put out a couple of things. One thing I want to put out is Matt Anderson, guys. You've been hear me talk about him. He's been nice enough to try and sponsor our show for a few months now. We're kind of working it out, seeing how it goes. I've given a lot of gift cards or store credit, I guess we're calling it now, away. And some of you, maybe didn't find a product that you wanted or whatever it was. But he now has a Facebook page, and so I'm trying to help him promote that a little bit. And we might do something with that eventually, do a giveaway or something to try to bump the numbers a bit. But it's called Get SunMed, Quincy, Illinois. And that is also a place where you can go to contact him for your gift cards and stuff if you get one on game night. Justin, I'm finding my way to you, bro. The other thing I wanted to put out is
I got Trevor back. Trevor is in the driveway, everybody.
Trevor.
Is that your vehicle?
I got my car back. Yeah.
Yay.
It only cost about $730. Initially was going to be around $1,200 from a different place. A chain place that's like a franchised national place. And I'm like, we'll look around a little bit. And this guy, Justin Osmus, guys, Osmus Automotive in East Peoria. I'm going to be shouting him out for a while. He pulled off a Christmas miracle for me. That shop was going to give me a date 2 weeks from now to get worked on. And he did the job on his own on the side, even though he owns that shop. So I think it's awesome. Although we shouldn't be talking about the side thing too much, guys. Don't worry, we'll keep that out of the promotions later on. But it was very nice of him to do that because look, 2 weeks, during Christmas, I couldn't go without a vehicle, and I wasn't going to pay twice that for hell. I could have gotten a rental car within the $1,200 just to save the time. So. It's all good, but I'm definitely gonna be shouting him out. I actually went to high school with him. I didn't recognize his last name. I was like, hey, I saw him when he came to my house, and I was like, hey, I went to school with you, didn't I? Okay. Thank you for the help. Yeah, I appreciate it. What was kind of funny though is that I didn't tell him ahead of time that my headlights are out, so he had to drive with the brights on at night. I told him right before he left his house, like, I probably should have told you that you have to drive with your brights on the whole way.
How come your headlights are out?
Because they're out.
Both of them?
The bulb is out, or
and you did replace
bulbs are out? Yeah, because it costs $300 to replace my headlights.
Holy
that's gonna be a next month thing.
Why do they definitely get much?
The bulbs.
You have to. So a lot of cars, they have this a difficult way to put them in where you have to take off the whole front bumper. Well, this car is even harder to put in than that, where they have to go inside of each wheel well in the front and tear it and take out parts of the wheel inside the wheel well to get into it, and then replace the light bulb. So insane. I mean, I could attempt to do it myself, but I don't have all those tools and things and the easy access.
That would be to change the whole headlight, though, wouldn't it? Not just the bulb. Like I've had vehicles.
It might be the whole thing. That might be what it is. Some of them don't have an individual bulb that you can. Some of them actually is the whole assembly thing. So that's a good point, Kat. Maybe that's the issue there. But either way, I've checked multiple shops, and they're it's a big job for those headlights. Hey, we got your boy Bergie in the house. What's up? What's up, bro?
Well, that's Kim.
Hey, Bergie, how you doing, brother?
One day at a time, one foot in front of the other. You know how that shit goes.
I do.
100%, bro. And that's what we try to do. Come together once a week to keep that wheel rolling for everybody. You know what I mean? When people start to fall out, and this is kind of back to the topic, people start to fall out from connections. It doesn't have to be social media, but just period. Texting your friend, calling your friend. When you start to fall out from that, you start to get isolated. You start to feel more alone. You start to get depressed. There's all sorts of bad things that happen. Don't get me wrong, Kat, you might agree. Sometimes you need to step away for a minute and things, and I do that myself because it's intense. Like if I was to keep up every day with all the stuff I need to do on social media, good morning post, good night post on the 6 different sites, that gets overwhelming. But the connections I have with people like you guys is the main reason that I do this.
Yeah.
Kasia, come up with all of us. Come on up. I was gonna say with the ladies, but Justin's here with us now. Hey, I stopped in mid. I corrected it. We need people on the screen. Charlene's volunteering Valerie.
Hey, Bergie, did you get those cards I sent yet?
Hey, he's sucking down some DQ. Looks like a coffee, maybe.
Yes, sir. I did hear. I haven't got a chance to see Caden yet. He's in New York City right now.
New York City. Where are you?
I'm in New York, but I'm upstate New York.
Yeah.
That's a few hours, probably.
3.5, 4 hours from where I am to New York City.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make sure you got them because I didn't have any way to track them because they went out like regular mail or whatever. And so I was nervous. I was like, because I sent them through my work, because sometimes it's hard for me to get to the post office. The post office it's a couple of miles away, and sometimes I just go home and I don't want to go out. But so I sent them through my work, and it makes me nervous when I do that because I work at a school and it's a big thing. So I didn't have any way to track it, and I just wanted to make sure you got them.
I did. Of course, when I see a package, I open it up and I'm like, all right, this is for Caden. This ain't for me. And I got to see the picture. He's got a nice little pile of cards and everything. And like I told people, the cards have helped him out a lot. They lift his spirits up. The one day I went to go see him and he couldn't get out of bed. He couldn't do nothing. So I gave him a kiss on his forehead, put the washcloth back on his forehead, kind of told his girlfriend, hey, this is cards, this is that. He called me later in the evening, and you could tell he wasn't feeling it. And I'm like, bud, go grab them cards and open them cards up. By the time he was done, you could tell his spirits were lifted. He was in a little better mood.
Yeah. Well, there's a picture that one of my students made. She drew that herself, and she's like, so I teach special ed kids, and they're not like, I don't have like low incidence kids, like kids that have severe and profound disabilities. But this little girl, she was traumatized. And so she's got some pretty severe PTSD. She's like super creative. This little girl is so unbelievably artistic, and she drew that. And so that's like a real special little drawing that she made. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I got a tough question for you, Bergie. If you could explain, just because you got 33 people watching, could you explain to us what's going on? Oh, you got it upside down. That is a good one. That's awesome. Actually, let's pull you up real quick.
And that's her caricature. That's what she looks like.
Wow. So it's like she's giving the cake for the happy birthday.
Yeah.
That's like she drew the emoji from Facebook, kind of like your avatar. Yeah. That is awesome, bro. That is awesome.
Yeah, she did good.
What's up, Elisa May?
She's a super neat, special little girl.
So, Bergie, can you? I mean, no worries, bro. But if you could tell us kind of what's going on a little bit, just because we got some people that may not know.
I try to do my thing. I try to stay to myself.
Yeah.
I got an older son. He just turned 19. That's what we're talking about with the birthday cards, everything like that. He has stage 3 lymphoma cancer, non-Hodgkin's. We thought he had it beat. Unfortunately, it came back. It's kind of really kicking his ass. So I set up an online benefit auction for him. Did it for February. I've had a lot of people come together for me. Dealing with the Facebook world, we know how the Facebook world can be. But basically just coming together for my boy, man. Trying to do what I can. As I tell people, it's difficult when it's a friend, a family member, an aunt, an uncle. But when it's your kid, it's a whole lot differently.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. So
yeah, definitely, man. The kids hit harder, especially when you're somebody out there that has made a lot of connections. It's like, listen, we got, it's time for not only our prayer warriors, but to put some action in. And I told you I'll do what I can for sure, but like it seems like everybody's hurting right now. I think showing the value of what you put out there in the community, though, I think it's going to be enough, because you guys do so much, and you're also being attacked on Facebook, and I'm always speaking out against Facebook, and that's probably why my algorithm sucks. But I'm always like, look, you can't let one site get you down like it does some people. Some people get so very emotional about their reach, or their, like I do sometimes even, but that's why I go to multiple places. So you had some recent issues, and so maybe we can get some people to join the new group. I don't know where it's where you're at with that, but you restarted the group. We Grow Stronger Together. Is it still the same name?
So it is.
Okay.
I've learned, all right, like you just said, I've established a name for myself. And I kind of learned that at the end of the day, I really don't need a group. The people are going to follow me no matter what. It sucks that I got to deal with things because I try to stay out of all the drama, all that. It's not who I am. I used to tell people, I'm Switzerland. I don't get involved. You know what I mean? Just because you don't like someone and they don't like you doesn't mean that I can't be friends with both of you. It's got nothing to do with me, you know? Not everybody feels that way. That common answer. It really bothered me because it was my son's benefit that got affected.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's what really, really got me. And I'm not gonna lie, brother. I did say, like after my son's benefit, I'm done. I'm walking away. But I can't say that's fair because I got people that have told me, like, Bergie, you helped me out, man. Before you, like, social, I wasn't able to really talk to people. I didn't want to be around people. Being around you helps me. It helps me get out of my zone. I tell people, like, when I'm sitting at this table and I'm sitting here with you guys, I feel like you guys are at my kitchen table and I'm blowing it down with you guys right here. That's how I feel. And that's how I feel with my audience, you know?
Right. It's a different feel for those of us who are fully immersed in this. Like, the people who are on the outside, they look at it like some kind of weird foreign cult or something like that. And they don't realize, like, a lot of us have lost connections near but close, like within proximity. Like, I don't really have anybody really that I can. I needed a ride for a couple of days and it was like impossible. I was like, well, okay. But of course, people are at work, people have things to do. So the online community is just like where you can find people who are available to be friends when you are. It's like, that's the thing. You can't just say, okay, we're friends, and it's like never see each other. Friendships are weird, and that's what part of the topic too is like people. I always come back to this. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt when it comes to friends that don't really hit me up. It's because even leaving your house for a 20-minute trip to your friend's house is one of the most difficult things today, because you have so much to do at home. You have so many other responsibilities. Have you guys ever had that where you have a friend that's close enough that you could probably just go pop by, but you never do because there's always some other priority that 40-minute drive would be too much of your day. And it's sad because we used to travel for weeks just to go to like the local general store to get a piece of rope, It's like nowadays we're just like, no, you're 10 minutes away. That's too far. I can't make it,
I think like with me, I live, the community that I live in, we've got about 150,000 people in my community. And, there's most places in my community, it's a 10-minute drive to get just about anywhere. And it's not so much the drive for me, it's finding the time, and a lot of my friends are just as busy as I am. I'm a teacher and, some of my friends are teachers and, we're all working, trying to do our thing. And it's just trying to find time for relationships, period. It's a time thing.
Real quick before I get too far, Justin, we got a offer from 34 Mongrels Genetics. Matthew Pierce in the house. Where it is? He's wanting to throw down some beans to the benefit. So make sure you get a hold of him, bro. Definitely, he's always awesome throwing stuff down. Go ahead, Kat. Are you talking? I'm sorry. I thought I heard you.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly fine. I'm just trying to think what we were just saying there now. Oh, yeah, just about the time. I was going to say it really does feel like, the days have gotten shorter or something. It feels like there's less time in each day, it seems. But, I definitely like relationships with my own mother and father. Like, as sad as it is, my mom, she works like 5 minutes away from where I live, but by the time she gets off work, you know, she needs to go home, she needs to check on the animals, she needs to shower, supper, all those things. And like, as sad as it is, I don't even really see like my own mom, who only works a few minutes away, or like my father half the time, just because by the time you get things done in a day, it's definitely not because you don't want to, it's just, it does seem like the days go by super quick. And also, I was going to say too about the group and the benefit as well. You know, I'm super sorry to hear about your son, and I haven't seen the group or anything, but I definitely will like support it and share it out and whatnot on my page.
It's a fun group, Kat. You might like it. We grow stronger together. They're not just about, you know, the benefit. They actually do a ton of stuff over there. They got I look up to Twisty like major, man. That dude, he can run circles around me when it comes to OBS and knowing some of these different techniques that he can do. Like, he literally is over on Kick, and people are throwing in these what do you call them? Not codes, but like commands in the chat, and their emojis are flying all over the screen, like bouncing around. Like, man, it's just crazy what they do over there. All sorts of games and giveaways. They have a lot of fun, so definitely worth the entertainment value. But that's another reason that we try to have fun on this show, because I've actually been accused of this show not being all that much about mental health. But I tell you what, I totally disagree. I mean, mental health isn't always just about talking about woe is me stuff. It's about coming together and having a laugh and having a little bit of camaraderie, a little bit of perspective on the topics and things like that. And so tonight's topic can be sort of a downer, but it can also be funny, and so it's a different topic. But I think that it's got value because everybody's mental health needs a smile, like you said, Justin. That lifting your spirits when you're talking about everybody having similar situations. Like, I think I told you, Kat, it was like earlier we were talking about the subject, and I was like, well, you know, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be about you know, negative things. It can just be stuff that happened throughout our whole life in this, you know. Like, my first kiss was on the playground. I remember her name. I'm not going to say her name. But she kissed me, you know. She came up and she kissed me, you know. Ran like the girls would like chase the boys back then, you know. It was a different thing. They would be chasing you, and it's like, oh man, okay. Well, I wasn't on the list, you know. We were like 10. But yeah, I remember this to this day. And I brought this up in our chat earlier, but my dad used to. Does anyone else have this situation? My dad used to tease me about the girls, you know, and so then I would not talk to girls. So like, he had like, I don't know what he was trying to do there, but it's like, you know, it's like when you do nothing but poke fun when somebody's doing something, like, they're gonna avoid that. And so it was a weird thing, you know. I think he liked to just make fun of people. That's probably what the difference was.
Well, I know, like, yeah, my parents or older siblings, yeah, would always like, oh, you know, boys got cuties and shit, try to drive you away from them. But it's because they didn't want you to have like your first little boyfriend or girlfriend and shit. They just want you to be their little kid forever, you know, that never has their first kiss, never has their first love and stuff like that.
Experience life a little bit first.
Yeah, exactly. So they just probably try to drive you away from that in general, I would say. But yeah, I definitely experienced that. And another like relationship I was thinking of is, you know, my best friend. She's been my best friend now for probably like 10 years, but she lives away like
happy
in
hippie in the house.
Oh, hey, happy hippie.
What's up, Chuck? Chuck Rock in the house. Yeah, no, she kissed me, Chuck. Yeah, she kissed me. I remember my first real kiss too. It was, strangely enough, outside of a Christian rock concert. Yeah. And then my friends tried taking that girl from me when I got grounded for a couple weeks after that. Yeah, she was a little bit too easy to take over. You know what I mean? That's not fun. You know, I want to bring up something. We might just touch on it now and come back to it. It's a current event kind of, and it's very controversial. I actually want some opinions on this from ladies. There's been some memes being made on Twitter, I guess, that went crazy. And the thing about it is it's a picture with some cartoon drawings of some high profile gay men that have paid for surrogate children, surrogate mothers to have children. And in this picture, it shows that the 3 different cartoons of gay men with their babies, and they were all men from different sides of the political aisle that are high profile. And then the 4th picture was of women all lined up like in a baby factory, and they were all wearing the garb from what's that TV show that was super popular recently, where the women were all covered up and they had the white like hats on. Come on, guys, it's like some weird dystopian show where all the women are like controlled and stuff. It's very recent. It's a big one. Somebody in the chat will pull it, I think. What's up, Brandon? Handmaid's Tale creative. Thank you. That was the picture, and I don't know if I could pull it up, but it sparked a controversy because a lot of people are saying that it's basically renting the woman's body. And that kind of brings up sort of sex work in general as far as renting a body. So I want to know what people think. Do we think that sex work in general is right? Or, I mean, it's something that can't ever be taken away. I mean, we're probably going to have prostitution no matter what you do, kind of thing. But now it's gotten into so many levels. OnlyFans, for example, hot tub streams on Twitch. There's so many layers to sex selling and people selling their bodies for it. And so I feel like it's very similar. If you're going to be mad at gay men for paying to have a baby made from another woman, then it's very similar, I think, in if you're going to just pay someone for their body in general. And it's a pretty hot topic right now. So I want to see what people think. Flying nuns, Joe. What's up, Eva?
If someone, like being a surrogate or whatever, it's the woman's body. They're, bringing a child in for obviously someone that can't have it themselves. It's her choice. It's not in a sexual manner. It's in like an actual, like, in my opinion, in a beautiful thing to do, like gay marriage is legal, like everywhere, pretty much, the Canada, United States, everything like that. So if you're going to have it legalized for, gay men to be married or lesbian women or whatever, then it's understandable to me if there's people out there and give that gift of a child to somebody. But now, of course, there is a side of, there is so many children to adopt. That's my big thing.
Yeah,
but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, that was one brought up. Another one was brought up that the child will never meet its mother, never see its mother. But I disagree. I feel like there could be situations where they decide to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing they said was that the gay couples would have 2 surrogates so that they could each carry on their own genetics separately, because you can't combine 2 males' genetics, obviously. So it's like that was another layer to it where they were doing multiple. And it was the picture was kind of crazy though, because it's sort of depicting a dystopian future where all women are just like in a baby making factory, and that's where that's just where they live. And then the men, that's just they're all happy with their So it was kind of a weird depiction. But I saw their point, and some of the high profile commenters on it were very like sort of angry about it, as far as like they don't think that for some reason that 2 men should be able to pay it. But then the question is, what about a man and a woman who can't have a child and they want to do surrogate? It's a very similar. I don't see the difference really, but it really, like, a whole storm is brewing over there. And I don't know if you guys realize this about Twitter. You may not like or even think about Twitter, but Twitter in the world of like news and as far as like movers and shakers in the economy and the culture, Twitter is pretty much where it's at. And it's crazy to me how insane that got, because for one reason, like, somebody drew the picture on purpose to try to invoke something,
Definitely, yeah.
They leave so much out of it, I feel like if you got a problem with that, then you definitely should have a problem with things like prostitution or OnlyFans. But they might be the same type of person that doesn't want any of those things. And I guess if you're going to be the same across the board, okay, whatever. But I actually have heard some people talking about it from the gay perspective, and the guy that I listened to talking about it, he didn't seem to have a huge problem, but he could definitely see that there was sort of a divide there, I guess. Does that make sense?
I think
as long as they're loving and taking care of that child, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, you can sell your eggs.
It's love.
30,000, damn, where can I do that to? Sign me up. Let's go.
Matthew's got it. Yeah, that's basically what the counterpoint was. Matthew's like, people do it regardless for the surrogacy because they have other reasons,
30,000.
So, well, okay. Well, I mean,
yeah, I don't think it's
but that's not up for anybody to judge, really.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's the same, but it is renting a
because
body.
it's for two complete different things. So one's sexualized, the other is bringing a child into the world, like a child.
Well, okay, let me push back a little bit. If I rent a car and decide to take it into a, like, I don't know, just drive it into the ocean, obviously I have to pay for it, but that's not what it was intended for. But no one's asking me that when I go to rent it. So I'm not saying, I don't know, I'm just being devil's advocate here, but
your point just then didn't make any sense for what this is, though.
It's renting a person's body. This is what people were pushing back about it, and I'm like, well, isn't it their choice? Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. And so is a lot of the sex work and stuff too, like OnlyFans and all that. That's their own choice. Now, a lot of it isn't. There's women, men too, that are out there being trafficked and things like that. It's absolutely horrific in every which way. But a lot of these people that are doing all this OnlyFans and these different things, it's all by choice, So
yeah. I mean, unless you get to the point where someone's forcing the surrogacy, some sort of like a dictatorship in the future or whatever, and that may happen in other countries. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah, again, guys, I'm not saying they're the same, but they are both renting a person's body. I don't know. It's a weird thought, really. Stacy, come up and talk about it. I get everyone's point. It's not nearly the same, but I mean, are you renting someone's body if you pay them on OnlyFans?
You're not really renting their body. You're renting the photo, video type of thing. Yes, but it's. I don't know. That's it. I find that very different.
That's what
I find that very different compared to like the surrogacy thing, though, just because of what it is about. You know what I mean? Like one is a sexual manner, and one is a childbirth, and someone that can't carry a child. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think surrogacy is a good thing in a lot of ways, but I think it also is becoming, there's a scare of like all these designer babies now, and people are freaked out by this whole thing where China is kind of, they're able to use CRISPRs and change the DNA and sort of almost creating super soldiers eventually is going to be, you're going to be able to go to the doctor and say, I want my child to have blue eyes, blonde hair, I want him to be 6 foot. And you're going to be able to do that eventually. Do we think that's, I mean, I know that's a little off topic, but it's kind of insane though. Like, I feel like that's playing God in a way. And it would be really weird to just go around getting designer kids,
Yeah, I don't know if they should mess with genetics that much.
It's crazy.
I definitely believe that, celebrities and people with a lot of money and stuff, I definitely believe that they, especially when they're going through surrogacy and stuff, they're picking, like, they're getting the gender of the child through the eggs and stuff like that or something, because I see it's like they have, like a boy, girl, like certain things like that, like patterns or something. Or they have a boy, a girl, like it seems like patterns, and it's like through surrogacy and stuff. So it's made me wonder, like, are they able to do that now with all the technology and money and stuff they have? Are they able to actually like find the sex of the eggs or find something out or do something to make it go to the other gender? I don't know. I have no idea, but it seems like that could be a possibility, especially in the future.
They're doing it now on a smaller scale where they look at the two parents' genes and they can give you an idea of what your kid will turn out to be. That's not the same as like choosing what you want for it. Matthew says his daughter is gay and they've been married and they purchased sperm for their baby. So that's very similar. Yeah. I mean, the only difference really is that who has to carry the baby. And we have a lot of conversation already on my body, my choice and all of that. But the fact is it's a lot of time and it's a lot of stress on your body. Obviously you women can speak to it more than I can. That's not no simple undertaking, and so it's a little bit different in that direction, but it's still the woman, if she's choosing to do that to make some money, I guess.
And a lot of them, though, obviously the money is a huge part, but a lot of them too definitely do feel like it's a gift that they have or something they've been blessed with to be able to, you know, give that to someone, to a family without a child and whatnot. Like I've watched a lot of different. Now, of course, it could be all bullshit what I watched. It could just be acting super nice to get all this money, but I've watched a lot of different things that seems like they feel pretty grateful to be able to do that for somebody. But of course, there's people like sperm donors or the, you know, surrogacy that are in it only purely for the money, of course.
Right. And that's basically what Happy Hippie's saying. And I agree with this wholeheartedly. She says, helping a family bring a child into their life where they can't have it themselves to be loved and nurtured is a blessing. Now, let me throw another wrench into that. Not to keep wiring you up, Stacey. Obviously, like I play both sides a lot of times because that's where we get the best perspective. But another level to that is why not adopt? And the thing is, a lot of men want their genes carried on. I don't know if that's a big, strong thing for women, though. I don't know if do you have this desire to sort of carry on your
adoption is not easy.
True.
That's why a lot of people don't adopt. It is extremely difficult to adopt.
I think
my brother adopted both of his kids, his first two kids, because his first wife was unable to have children. So they adopted back in the early 70s. And it is not easy to adopt. It wasn't then, and it is not any easier now.
There's a connection there when you carry that child and birth it.
Well, and a lot of people, so, you know,
I agree, Stacey.
I work with teenagers. Okay. I work with kids, and I've worked with kids in foster systems. I've worked with kids, you know, that have been adopted. I've worked with everything. And it's hard working with kids that have been through foster systems because they've been through shit. They most likely were living with parents who were not good people, and they were taken away from those not good people, and they've been traumatized. And a lot of people are unwilling or unable to take in children that have that kind of trauma. They don't know what to do with it.
Or they think they can, and they try to take it on, and then it becomes too much. Like, look at what Bean says. Just purely by numbers, it makes a lot of sense. He says there are 1 million babies for adoption and over 2 million people waiting on the waiting list. But to Kim's point, those 2 million people, we don't know the percentage of who's actually qualifies. Now, I'll say this. I'm sure that there are some qualifications. I'm sure that the rigorous process could be maybe relooked at in some ways, you know, like there's got to be some changes.
Well, and there's a lot of prejudices also, because I have a lot of male friends who are gay that have tried to adopt. Not a lot that have tried to adopt, but I have a lot of male gay friends, and some of them have tried to adopt. And there's a lot of homophobia, period. You know, your little meme that you were talking about, that to me, that's very homophobic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of homophobia, period, related to all of that. And I think it's changed to some degree, probably depending on what region is more friendly maybe to things like that. But I think there's a lot of homophobia in a lot of the practices, and there's barriers to adoption.
I think you're right, because I'd like to disagree with that, but I think you're right because a lot of adoption facilitation goes through religious, I think, means, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't there a lot of like? Well,
yes, there are, but you know, I mean, even just dealing with state agencies, it's very, very political. There's a lot of politics is actually
red tape for sure. Yeah.
You know, and religion definitely drives a lot of politics. But, you know, you just have a lot of these state agencies, you know, that are, you know, under tremendous pressure. And, you know, a lot of it's political pressure. You know,
I agree. But you got to think, though, there's definitely states where the political pressure is to benefit, you know, certain groups, certain marginalized groups, or even sexual groups, different things like that. There are those programs out there that are sort of skewed towards that direction too. I mean, I've heard people talk about trying to get benefits, and they're told if they were a different demographic, then maybe they would qualify, and that's pretty messed up too. So it's to your point.
Yes,
there's politics.
In the last maybe 10 years, yes, but I'm talking traditionally. Things are starting to change. It's slow changing, and everything is a pendulum. So the pendulum may be over here one day, and then things start changing, and it's going to swing to the other side, and then eventually it'll move back here into the middle. So we're seeing a lot of pendulums swinging with a lot of stuff related to, the LGBT.
The more it's normalized, the more it'll be.
Yeah, and so right now it's swinging all over the place. I mean, you just have to listen to politics and listen to like this stuff in a lot of these states where they're, parents are getting all pissed off because, they're teaching homosexuality in school. Well, they're not teaching homosexuality in school. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make children see where you don't have to be mean to gay people. You don't have to be hateful to gay people. And that's what they're trying to bring into the curriculum. But everybody's swinging over here on this pendulum. The Christian right and all these people that are so homophobic are swinging over into this area of homophobia. And they're just terrified that they're going to make their kids gay. Is what
I don't know, Kim. Look,
I do know because I am a white woman I'm a conservative. Okay. That's one thing that people don't understand about me because I don't come off as a conservative.
Yeah,
I'm conservative, but I'm a moderate conservative. I'm conservative in certain ways. And so I sit there and I listen to the people around me that are conservatives, that are Christian conservatives. And I listen to what they say. I listen to their talk. And they are that way. I'm telling you.
Okay. But what I'm saying is there's definitely been some problems in school that had nothing to do with let's be nice to gay people, but more like, hey, let's show kids how to use Tinder. Let's show anal sex to children. There's definitely been situations like that all over the country.
Well, I honestly, I don't know anything about that, but I know that because I saw the curriculum. I was in California at the time when that curriculum was being developed.
Bean, come on up.
And so, and that's kind of where I think a lot of that started, that whole movement in schools started was out in California. A lot of the times California is a leader in the development of, I don't know what you call it, that kind of stuff, new ideas or pushing the envelope for stuff. And so, I don't know because I don't pay attention to every single instance of all of this junk that goes on.
Well, like Dean said, your school is probably, you might be in a great school, but we're looking at the grander scale, and there's been some messed up stuff.
Well, and there's going to be messed up stuff, and because people make stupid, unfortunate choices with stuff.
Oh, and for sure. We just have to pay attention.
I cannot imagine who in their right mind is going to be showing anal sex, period. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's messed up.
Be careful because, is it a private school? Is it a public school where that happened? Was that some
I'd have to look it up.
Weird idiosyncrasy where some teacher made a terrible, poor choice?
I like that, Gypsy, yeah.
Talking about teachers making terrible poor choices. The first two boys that asked me out sat in the back of the classroom and they were making noise. So I looked back there to see what they were doing. And one held up a sign, "Will you be my girlfriend?" I shook my head no. And then I looked back and then the teacher told me to pay attention or whatever. And then I looked back there again and the other boy held up a sign, "Will you be my girlfriend?" And then I shook my head again. And then I probably looked back there again to see what they were doing. And the teacher told me to go to the hallway.
We're just going to leave this one up here a while. I've heard the name Anthony Berry. You're going to have to give me a little bit more though, bro. Like, I mean, I could tell you I've been stupid today too, but I need some details to this. If you can give me an idea of what my stupidity is. and maybe you can come up and you could be audio only. You can make a different name and you could share your, your opinions. Like this is a show to bring perspective, not to just bring anger and violence. Like you guys might not like it sometimes when I push both sides of things, but
that's the point of it all. Like that's the point. It's people in the boxes for different perspectives and to see people's views and opinions and question things, and that's the point of it all. Like we're not here to just act like everything is perfectly normal and there's no no different discussions to be had or like opinions that are going to be different, but at the end of the day we're all adults and we should all still respect each other enough to not just name call and judge people on what they have to say about a situation.
We got a possible love connection going on here. We've got a guy named Joe Kelly.
I think Joe Kelly was the one that was like holding up that sign in the back of your class.
He wasn't, but I knew him back then.
And he came back later.
Oh, I think maybe those boys gave him some ideas.
He's asking if you'll be his girlfriend. Check yes or no. I actually did that once. I was thinking I was in 3rd grade. I did the check yes or no thing back then. She checked no.
I was in my mid-20s when Matthew Shepard, when that happened to Matthew Shepard, and
what happened?
I didn't grow up around a lot of gay people. I didn't grow up around a lot of gay people. My mom had a gay friend when I was probably about 12 or 13. And so I had been around a gay man and I didn't find him threatening. I didn't find him problematic. I found him a little odd, and whatever. I never really judged him like he was bad or anything. He was very different. And so I never had any bad feelings towards gay people. And then when I was in my mid-20s through my church group, there's these 2 guys that were in our church group. And we all became friends. There was a foursome of us. And we found out after we'd become friends for a couple of years that they were gay and that they were a couple. And they are 2 of my closest friends in the world, like 30-something years later, 34 years later. They're 2 people that are part of my inner circle. And I have an inner circle of about 6 people, and there are 2 of them. And so this friendship that I was developing with these 2 men was around the time that the whole Matthew Shepard thing happened. And I struggle that my 2 friends had grown up going through. And then this thing happened with Matthew Shepard. And that was like this thing for me that was just so heartbreaking. It's like, you may, and I had a student in my class the other day. He's one of my little football players, and I have a couple of gay kids in my class, and he was calling him a fudge packer and all of this stuff. And I said, hey, dude, that's not respectful. And he goes, yeah, but what they do is disgusting. And I said, do you eat beans? And he goes, yeah. And I said, do you like to eat beans? And he said, yeah. And I said, you're disgusting. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, beans are the most disgusting thing you can put in your mouth. And he goes, beans are the best. And I says, yeah. I said, but you know what? You just sat there and said the same thing about those boys. And I said, and that's your opinion to think that? But, you don't treat people bad. How would you feel if I started treating you bad just because you like beans? So I was able to turn it around and make him see that. But, that's just the thinking of people, and they're raised that way. And it's like, it's different and they're not exposed. And, there's a lot of fear that they're going to get turned into something gay, or they're going to be preyed on by gay people. And there's just all of this stuff. And it breaks my heart. Because
I would venture to say the number of people who have those phobias has declined. And now I would say it went back up. There was a rise in it because of propaganda and our politics and our news. There's been a rise in hate crimes, not real hate crimes, but false ones. I don't know if you guys know this, but most hate crimes that have been reported turn out to be false later. Almost all of them. They turn out to be later on. They find out that it was staged or there was something not true about it. And I'm not saying that there aren't any that really happen. I'm just saying that in general, I think that things have gotten better. Now, with that being said, if I'm angry with you and I'm some asshole that just wants to make you mad, I'm going to look at you and take the easiest, the quickest low hanging fruit that you can't even defend against, right? Sexual preference, color, gender, all the things that people get so up in arms about. That's the low hanging fruit, guys. If you want to really insult me, come get to my core and tell me that, whatever I'm doing is terrible or whatever, something more about what I actually can affect. People get straight to the most, what's the word? Immutable characteristic about you. And then they try to hit that, and it's like, I feel like that's just an obvious thing to me whenever somebody goes after it. Even racial things, a lot of times it's just because the person wants to be the most evil, mean person they can to you at that moment, and it's just, and I'm not.
I want to address something that Anthony Berry is saying in the.
Yeah, I do want to get to him too. Yeah.
I want to say something because I'm a Christian. Okay. My job as a Christian, and this is biblical, you go right straight back to the Bible, and I will give you references if we need to debate this. But it says that my job is to love people. My job as a Christian is to bring people to Christ. And that's all people. It doesn't differentiate in the Bible. It is God's duty to judge.
Yeah, we're not here to be like, no, you can't do something.
God's duty. And if you take on the ability to judge, you are becoming God. You are taking on God's role. So
you can sit there and think that you disagree with it, and that's not something that you want for you and your family or whatever. But it's not your place to go out there and violently, I'm not saying you're being violent, but violence definitely isn't going to stop people from being gay. And going out there and just telling them they shouldn't do this or that is also not going to stop people from doing this and that.
Is that what his comments are about? Is that why he said we're stupid?
He's very religious. He's like
telling us we're stupid because whatever, and it's like whatever. And now he's telling me I don't sound like a Christian.
He said,
have whatever he wants to have, and that's his choice, But
he says this about the Bible, and it's like
I never said that it's okay to be gay. Sin is sin, regardless.
If you believe in the Bible, that's your belief.
If you overeat, it's a sin. If you overdo alcohol, it's a sin. Okay. A sin is a sin is a sin.
Yeah, I mean, you can believe, and listen, that's what, when we get into religion, I don't even, I got one example, Kim, to be like, to take religion out of this conversation. Mormonism, you're not even allowed to drink caffeine, okay? So, do we want to really get into every different religion and what it is that religion says that you should do and you shouldn't do? No. That's not what we're here to do either, because, I mean, we can talk about religion all day. I love the topic. But to me, it's more about what you do in response to things that you don't like. Do you show your fangs? Do you get angry at things that an idea you don't like, or do you, like Kim saying, you try to be as accepting as possible while still holding your own beliefs? You don't have to change,
Here's the thing, and this is my thing as a teacher.
Oh,
I came into teaching because I wanted to make a difference in kids' lives. And one of the things that I realized early on, before I became a teacher, is that in order to effectuate change, you have to gain the respect and trust of the person that you want to effectuate the change in. And if you go in with a message of condemnation and hate and telling a person you're wrong and you're bad, they already know that they're a sinner. They already know that they're doing bad stuff. And if you go in with a message and a heart of condemnation like that, you are not going to win them over. You are going to send them even further into whatever it is that you're trying to change about them.
That's kind of the pendulum you were talking about, Kim. And I want to see Justin, bro. Definitely jump in anytime you want, man. Or I don't want to this show is you got to jump in if you want, because that's how we go. But I want to point out though that actually I lost my thought as I tried to bring Justin in. That's okay. That's okay. It's been a good discussion, but I definitely think that everybody has a separate, different opinions and different outlooks on this, and I think you should keep your own opinion. I'm not saying you shouldn't tell people, but we can't force people to be, oh, that was it, Kim, the pendulum swinging. So I personally believe the pendulum has swung more towards like debauchery and,
oh yeah, definitely
everywhere and that kind of thing.
So there is this disgusting right now. It freaks me out.
But like, the religious sect is kind of doubling down because of that, Do you remember getting, really, really hardcore over there?
Do you remember, and you may be too young for this because you're younger than I am. Most of you guys are a lot younger than I am. But do you remember that song by Jay Giles' band, My Angel is a Centerfold?
I remember that, yeah.
My blood runs cold. My memory has just been sold. My angel is a centerfold. So the song is about this guy dating this really hot girl. She's beautiful and all of this stuff, and he's all enamored with her and whatever, and he finds out she's a centerfold. Okay, so that's my generation that I grew up with. I grew up within that generation, and you would have never, a guy back then would have never been caught dead dating a woman like that because you didn't bring those kind of women home to mama. You look at the generation that I'm watching walk through my school every day, these girls running around in bras, in shirts that you can see their nipples, you can see their boobs, in their pants that are unbuttoned all the way down to the pubic bone, and you can see the top of their vajayjay. Okay, that's what I see in my school every day. All right, and we can't do anything about it. We have gone from this, where you wouldn't be
we'll send you home
girlfriend like this. Oh my God, my girlfriend's on Fans Only, and look at this, she's beautiful and she's hot on my arm, and ooh, this is what I'm doing. And that's what they take home to mom. There's been this huge swing. You're right, this huge pendulum swing, and I don't know, it bothers me. I don't like it. But it's like, I don't know.
Sorry, Charlene. We can get out. I mean, it was just because it's a big topic in the news and stuff, but relationships in general is the topic. And you guys, like, we don't need to get hung up on like the question with the whole thing. It didn't have anything to do with sex. No. It had to do with the types of couples. And that was the whole thing. That was the whole issue that people were having. And obviously there was a back and forth, but to the broader point of relationships though, I think that it's gotten very complicated. Like you're saying, everything's gotten more sexualized, which then men and women have to work within that. So then you have to find a mate or an other half or whatever within that dynamic. And the only way you can find one that's like not into any of that is that you have to go further and further more towards you might call them goody two shoes, the people who don't want to be seen on Facebook live streams, or like the people who are going to church or not going, or just working all the time. And it's very difficult to find what you might want to find out there as far as dating goes because of distance and like we talked about earlier, how often you're working and how long you're away from the house. And it's really tough because it used to be. And we're going to be back to this real quick, guys. If you don't believe me, mark my words. We're going to be back to real quick where you have to have a significant other to survive. Like you got to be able to have a family. You got to have a bunch of kids in order for one of them maybe to take care of you when you're old. All that stuff is starting to go out the window, and it's going to come back real quick because you're finding out that there are less and less people being born, and there's going to be a whole generation of old people that don't have kids that are going, where's my Social Security? Why am I not, why is no one paying for me or taking care of me? And it's because we outsourced all of that and we stopped having kids. Our birth rate has gone down, guys. You might not agree to that. There's a ton of adoption kids. We talked about, other fertilization methods, but there is a lower production rate of kids right now. So it's production.
Well,
rate.
They made it impossible for you to be able to afford them. So
yeah, it's tough.
Like after my second one, I think that's it. It's not fair to him.
We've demonized mothers, though. We've demonized mothers. You're worthless if you are a stay-at-home mom. Is the message that's kind of been passed around, and it's not just by men either. It's by women and men because they wanted so badly to have that dynamic where women are the power structure as well, and they are running companies and stuff, and that's great. But when does the family life happen if both people are out running companies? You know what I mean? And that's kind of what we've gotten ourselves into now, where we're sort of, we've demonized. And I think the stay-at-home mom is like, that's the hardest and most important job on the planet ever, period, ever. There's nothing more important than that.
It's sad because,
what's up?
Our society has moved into a 2-income household kind of a thing. And people, a lot of these people can't, you can't survive on a single income unless you have a really high paying job, and I mean, in my community where I'm at, we have a very high poverty, and so I don't know, these kids, I see these kids are raising themselves, a lot of the parents just aren't super involved in parenting, and a lot of these kids are raising themselves because of it. And it's kind of sad.
That is a problem, because we have children now that are having kids and not knowing what it's like to have that type of a home life. And I say that as one of those people. I have 2 children, and I wasn't married to either mother over a 14-year period of time. So it wasn't the most it wasn't the worst type of situation. I know, like, I think somebody said something about a dude that's got 16 kids who was talking about that up here. And he doesn't see any of them. And, the whole, like, that's the sort of extreme of the whole deadbeat dad scenario. And it's sad, but what's up, Kasia? Yeah, I mean, I think we need to remember the importance of our family, because my family right now, they look at me like I'm crazy because of what I'm doing. And we're not even having Christmas this year, And I don't know if my mom's watching. Sorry, Mom, but I'm talking about it. It's like, it's like, that's sad to me. And part of it is distance, part of it is time. But I think we should get back to, maybe not everybody in the same house, but I'd like to be closer to family, as far as like on the same land. Got that family land. What is it, like the Duttons over on what's that show? It's a big show right now with in Montana. They're like a big like cattle ranching family and stuff. Forget the name of it, but it's a good show. But it also kind of depicts like the family trying to continue working together as a unit, as a business, although they have a lot of butting heads and stuff. But you're going to have that no matter what company you work for, right? You're going to butt heads with your boss or maybe another coworker. So why not make it family? I don't know. Family has been tough to work with. Has anybody ever worked at a family run business? And I
was my brother's boss before, and that sucked. I hated it.
Yeah, it's not easy, man. But it's a different thing if it's like your homestead business. I feel like you're raised up learning those jobs and stuff. I'm not Yellowstone. Thanks, Valerie. Yeah, she's not watching. She's a naysayer. Oh, okay. Yeah, just keep getting page unavailable, but I'm here. Oh, Kat, that's okay. I appreciate you coming up. I don't know why it's causing you problems. I'll put the link down again. Expect more and pay less. Expect more. Derek, what's up? Little House on the Prairie. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. What about what's the other one with John Boy and Sue Ellen? The Waltons. The Waltons. Remember that? There was like
the lady I take care of watches those every morning.
Nice. There's like 15 people in that house or whatever, and it's like, I don't necessarily think we need to get back to that if we can see the value in being close without getting back to where we have to live 10 to a bedroom or whatever. That's the extreme. We don't want to have to get back to that. Maybe we just take smaller steps. Joe says the one with 16 is my son's bio dad. Oh, wow. Wisconsin clipped him before releasing him on child support. They clipped his parts. Oh, we got another gem from Anthony here. People don't want to be around family. They will tell the truth and not give a damn about your feelings. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think my family, if my family trash talks me, I don't necessarily think it's true. A lot of times they don't have a clue what I'm doing, or they don't, they're not that clued in on what the heck they're even talking about. And that's not, I'm not just talking trash about my family. I just mean, like, if your family says something about you, like, and they what they've seen you once or twice a month or something. Like, they don't really know unless you're living near each other again, you know. And I'm not disagreeing, I guess, totally, because people don't want to be around family in some ways, but some of that is because we have other methods on survival nowadays. You've got welfare, you've got other ways to make money, you've got whatever it is, but that is part of the problem. I think the government has kind of taken the place, and that's directly a problem with relationships and children, where they incentivize the mother to not be with the father because they offer them more money to not do so. And so you have all these situations where the father's secretly still with the mother, but they don't live together, or he's living there, but they're not telling anyone there's living there. Like, all these little ins and outs to get around Uncle Sam. That's ridiculous. You watch the Waltons, Joe? You love
well,
Laura
one of the things that bothers me about that is that, like, I was young woman when there was a show on TV called it had Candace Bergman. What was the name of that show? Murphy Brown. And she took a lot of flack because in the show she became a single mom. And that was like just unheard of at that time. And it was just like, the Christian right came out on it and stuff like that. And, I'm not going to judge the here nor there on it, but, women have been demonized forever for getting pregnant. And the thing is it takes two to tango. The woman is the one that bears the shame of it, though, because she's the one that's left with the child. And the man in the equation, doesn't get any blame for it. It's the woman that carries all of that. And the woman typically gets stuck with the shame, the scar, the whatever you want to call it, of, having done the deed,
Definitely much more prevalent on the women's side because of being pregnant and the whole thing. And not even that, but just the nature of sex. The woman, let's be adults here, guys. The woman is penetrated. The man isn't. And unless, let's not go down there. But my point is, like, traditional sex, one person is actually violated, the other person is violating. So it's just, that's the standard of the way it goes. But I would push back in a little bit because of the whole the stigma against dads, and how Illinois is actually one of the most difficult states to be the dad and try to get your rights and stuff like that. I was the opposite situation. I was like, we had a deadbeat mom, but she still had the kid, and it's like, it's not easy to remedy that situation. I think I'm pretty unique in that. There's very situations like mine.
There's a lot of old-fashioned ideas about stuff. It goes both ways. I mean, it's kind of that way here in this state too. So there's a lot of prejudice against men, being the main parent or whatever, the parent right thing. But I don't, it's just, I don't know.
Me and Joe been together almost 10,000 days.
10,000 days. You gotta count it up, huh? Cindy says more states should do that. I keep saying that with the big abortion laws going on now. If a woman is forced to raise a child, we should look into stopping unresponsible men from creating them. Yeah, no, I mean, I think if, well, I mean, that goes a lot of different directions, Cindy. I don't know if we want to get into the abortion conversation, but I feel like there's a lot of forces outside of the two people who are mainly involved who push for both directions, and people can easily be swayed, whether that be towards it or away from it. And I don't really like anybody. I don't like the government being in it. I don't love the fact that we subsidize it. But I also don't want people demonized for it, because it's going to happen. I mean, it's always happened. People have found like more crude ways of doing it back in the day.
People feel like they're forced to stay in relationships because of the money situation.
That's a big one. Yeah, but that's true though. That's true. Think of the Wild West. That was you had to, even if you had a situation where you did not like your husband or wife anymore. It was like do or die. And then there was all
that. Like if Joe was to die tomorrow, I would feel like I'd have to have somebody to help take care of me, because I can't do it all on my own. And
That's
then
true.
you kind of like force yourself in you would force yourself in a relationship at that point. And when you've been in your relationship pretty much your whole life, you're like, that'd be enough, no more.
I agree. And
Happened to him.
to get to further your point, marriage has become something that definitely is not worth it for men, even though that's still something I want to do. It's like it's not really worth it for us. And some of it is principle, some of it's like faith and stuff like that. But over in Europe, you can get married and divorced in 10 minutes. Like it's just boom, boom, no, nothing to it, you know. And for over here, it's like, man, there's almost nothing. There's almost no reason at all for a man to do it nowadays. Bobbert in the house. Someone's grabbing his butt, guys. Be careful. Sexism, Val. Just that. All right. Come on up, Val. Anybody want to come up? We've kind of been rambling for a while. I want to hear anybody's opinions on relationships. Hear about your first date. What's an ideal date? If you're okay, we talked about how, you know, you can spend less money on it and stuff, but I still think dinner is kind of like a standard. I want to go to dinner with a date. Like that's kind of a thing, you know. But then it's kind of weird because you get your first impression of somebody's watching them eat, and that's not always fun. You're like, oh, you're gonna eat that? Oh, you know.
But just don't stare at them while they're eating it.
Just staring at them like, can I stay? Could I be with this person? Let's see. But you know, and then getting back.
Might be like, I don't even like the way you eat. You are sloppy and a mess, and no, I just can't do it. Right there, end of date.
Right.
Yeah, that's true though, and I think people are cutting to the chase more nowadays. It used to be you'd get married and then you didn't even know about some of the idiosyncrasies of that person until, you know, 6 months, a year later, and now it's like you're usually together for a few years before you get married, and so you kind of know all those things already. Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen the 90-Day Fiance?
I think that's so dumb.
Isn't that crazy? Like it's totally just publicity. Like I can't imagine that. I don't know how many of those work out. I wonder. Let's see. Let's find out. Do any of the couples actually stay together?
And it's just like those dating shows. What were they called? The ones where the ladies would like date a bunch of different guys on the TV show and then end up with one at the end.
Oh, there's a bunch of those, right? But
I think
there's always like Next, and there was, you know, Love Connection, of course, Love Boat back in the day. Let's see, summary. Despite the hardships and scandals, many couples from past seasons of 90-Day Fiance are still married. Well, that doesn't really give me too much numbers there, but it says, and going strong, proving that the dating experience can lead to successful marriages. One of the OG couples, Paula and Russ, took a break in their marriage, but reconciled. Interesting. I mean, they probably do a lot of research on the people before they get up there, you know, and maybe like they can find maybe it's actually to the benefit of the studio to actually find real connections that would work out. Maybe they're using real like psychology or something and like looking at their matches and kind of like those like OK Cupid or whatever. I've never done any of those. I did Facebook dating, you know, that's free and it's already on the app. I'm already on. Like, all right. But mostly what you see is people advertising their Instagram or OnlyFans or Snapchat. And like, I thought about that. I was like, I should change this and just put up my locals and put up my page, just advertise what I do, put nothing but pictures of me doing the podcast. Like just get more followers that way instead. That's funny.
Yeah, you might get the wrong kind of followers, Waylon.
Maybe stalkers. I did have one of those. Talking about relationships, guys. There's a fine line between supporter and stalker.
Yeah, there's some crazy people out there. I'm telling you. Like I did the online dating thing during the pandemic, and oh my God, that was something else.
Derek from Australia, he says he only ever had love at first sight. Who is this person came later? Oh, don't try this at home, kids. Yeah, that's a tough part. Like, what? Whoa, who did I marry? You know, a year later, like, what is going on? It used to be a woman married to have a man to take care of her. A woman was
Wow.
a possession, not a human. I don't know. I think there's that some of that's been debunked, Cindy. I think you're right to an extent, but also it was more nature back then. The woman was not going out, and I mean this even in like the Wild West days. The woman was not going to go out and hunt, and some of them did. There were stories of this, right? But in general, it was like it wasn't because the man says, "Hey, I need you to cook." It's more because the man was like more equipped to go out and try to find food and things like that. It was just a pure nature thing. It wasn't. And now you probably had plenty of abusive situations because men were harder people back then. We would just shoot each other on a whim, Wild West style, like, and so the women probably had no way to or not less ways to sort of defend themselves from that kind of a roughness. Val will definitely weigh in on this. Miss Val, the boss. You need to put a little sticker that says DA next to the boss, like the boss.
The boss.
But yeah, I think there was a combination of natural reasons, but also women have. I will say this for sure, that women have been oppressed on like thousands of years, kind of a situation. There were a bunch of stories about the Bible and how some of the translations were purposely changed to not subjugate, but to I don't know what the right word is, demoralize or to lessen, make the women of lesser stature. And one of those examples was, I guess, in the Hebrew translation, they talk about flesh of my flesh as like the rib, bone, and whatnot. But then in Christianity, we sort of twist it to where Eve is made out of Adam's rib bone, and so therefore she's lesser because she was made from him or whatever. But really, they say the translation. And again, this is not my opinion. I just heard about this. They say the translation is actually that flesh of my flesh, as in the same type of thing that I am. The woman is another human. Not that it came. Not that I was nice enough to give her a rib and let her live. That's kind of the twist that's happened a lot.
The Bible is all about interpretation.
Yeah. And that's what I don't like about the Bible in the first place. I have my own personal connection with God, and some of that is formed by me looking at a ton of different religions. I've been to a lot of different churches, most of them Christian-based. You got Baptism, Protestant, Catholic. I've been to several, and it's like I kind of take all of them into consideration, but I also kind of look at them in a silly way because, like I said earlier, Mormons can't ingest caffeine, and so that's just a simple example of how there's so many differences along with like interpretation and all these different religions. There's so many. There's a religion of cannabis, I think now. Like you can have a religion of anything, and so when you talk about anything that's written by man, for the most part, it can be corrupted by man. And I am a Christian for the most part. I believe in God. I have my own personal relationship that I foster, but I still see that has happened over the years. There are other examples, but there's definitely things within the church that they were using to sort of, keep. And I'm not a third wave feminist. I'm a first wave feminist, if you might believe that. Like, yes, women need to be looked at as equals, but at the same time, the feminism kept going, and they were like, well, what do we fight for now? Well, let's, and it sort of gotten to the point where it's past, like every other major movement, it gets so big and bloated that it gets corrupted. Think about like unions, child labor laws, all of these things have gotten to the point where we needed them. And then it became some organization that's now like corrupt. Think of breast cancer. We spend more money on breast cancer than any other cancer, I think, and it's not even the highest killer of women. There's I forget the name of the other thing because no one ever talks about it. But there's another thing that kills more people than breast cancer. But it's all about where the eyes are, what they're promoting. And I think that the feminists nowadays that just want to be angry and not actually you got to take a win sometimes. Like Val, like I don't know what you think, but hasn't it changed a little bit over the years from the original, thinking of it? Like we want freedom, we want with contraception and birth control, and also with some of the other what do you call the lady the other stuff for your monthly duties. I don't know what you call the items, but you know, and you still your tampons and your pads and stuff. Is there a word for that other than saying it? I don't know.
Menstrual products.
Your toiletries. I don't know.
Hygienic products.
Inventing all of that stuff has
Feminine
really
products.
okay.
There you
Feminine
go.
products. There you go.
Feminine hygiene.
Yeah. But you get my point. Like that, a lot of that stuff has changed our dynamic without us knowing. Technology has changed us without us being able to keep up. Really, suddenly women are able to do anything they want, which makes it a lot less attractive to sit at home pregnant. Like even from a man's perspective, most men probably wouldn't choose to be pregnant if we had the option. Unless you're wanting to bring life into the world and the whole magnificent thing of it, and the magic of it, which I think is true, it's real. But still, though, today's day and age, man, it's go all day. Who wants to stop and do that? And so, man, it's hard. And I think it's not necessarily us doing it to ourselves. Technology can really change how we interact with each other. Look at what we're doing now. We wouldn't have done this on the screen talking to each other. There would be some forum somewhere at the town hall to talk about it or whatever, instead of
Or in
on
somebody's
camera.
basement.
Yeah. Hey, just because I'm in my basement doesn't mean I'm not in bed. This is my wonderful Christmas room I'm in here with the fireplace.
I want to say something about the feminism thing. There's
Your
still
layer.
a lot of work to be done, in my opinion, related to the feminist movement.
But wouldn't you couldn't you simplify that to all people?
I agree with you that it's bloated and there's
But that's the point. It's about equality,
right.
not freedom to do what you want. It's about equality.
Yeah. And
Depends
so
on what you mean by that,
I
though.
think the whole Me Too movement is indicative of that because, I don't know what the experiences of young women are today because I'm not a young woman growing up, in this generation. But I know that as a young woman growing up during my generation, I'm a Gen Xer, a woman growing up in my generation, I saw a lot of things and I had a lot of things happen to me. And it was in 1999 that I was called into my boss's office. I worked at a welder supply. And I was called into my boss's office one day. And we're sitting there and we're talking. And then he says, so I want to have an affair with you. And I was like, I didn't know what the hell to do with that. I had never in a million years had a married man do something like that.
Say it like that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like he laid
Straight
it out.
up.
And so I'm just sitting there and I was like, and I'm not that way. I'm a very modest person. I'm very modest and I'm just not that kind of a person at all. And I'm a celibate person, I'm just not nasty like that. I consider that nasty if you just
Loose morals, yeah.
and I'm just not that kind of a person. And so when he said this to me, I mean, I'm just sitting there, I'm sitting in this chair and I'm sitting there like this. And he said this to me and I was like, I said, how are you going to deal with your wife on this? Because he had a wife that was a ball breaker. She was something else. And I said, I just don't know that that's a good idea. I didn't
You were scared.
be politically correct in dealing with him because, he was my boss. And because I handled it the way that I did, a month later, I got laid off from my job. Because I just didn't take him up.
He should have been fired.
What you should have done was record it somehow.
Well, there wasn't cell phones back then.
I see.
Cost a humongous amount of money. This was 1999.
Oh, Zach Morris cell phone with the Although actually in '99 I had a little Nokia. I had a cell phone as a
Yeah,
kid.
well, you might have had a cell phone, but it didn't have a camera on it.
They weren't prolific
that
back
was
then
still in
either.
the days of camcorders.
Yeah, and they didn't have
phones didn't have
recording
cameras on them until like the late 2000s.
I had a Nokia that you pulled
audio though.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I didn't have a cell phone then. I didn't get a cell phone until 2004.
They weren't prevalent.
No, they were very expensive. But, women have been raped and put in positions and things like that. And so there's still a lot of work to do because women are still seen in a particular light. And, that pendulum is swinging right now for women because now you see all these little girls coming to school wearing nothing but a bra.
The Swifties.
And there's no modesty, or I shouldn't say there's no modesty, but there's modesty. I don't know. It's different.
I agree, but I have to push back a little bit because I don't think that necessarily you would need to say there's still a lot of work to be done in feminism. I would just say that people in general, like this show here, this is part of the work. This is part of what we're talking about. Just having conversations more to discuss these things, and I try not to get into debates where we have to go and look up the information to prove our points. We can look at a lot of these things and look at both sides and like, well, look, maybe it doesn't matter how often this thing happens, it's a bad thing, whatever thing is, right? And we can look at things with nuance like that, and I think that's one of the problems that we're having is because people don't want to discuss these things, right? And to your point, kids are becoming more and more, what gets clicks and views, and if it affects us, it's affecting them on some scale that we can't even imagine. Can't even imagine what it's like to grow up in high school or junior high with Facebook. None of us can.
No.
None of us can. Could you imagine the relationships that you would like? You end up with in some chat room with people, from another country or something, and you're 14. I remember when the internet was starting to become a big thing, and I was on Yahoo chat rooms, and you're in here, and there's just like a million people, and you don't even know what's happening. And I think I was 14 back then. So yeah, the internet is scary, but also inevitable in a way. Like we can't really do much about it, so we have to. I don't know. You to your point, to what you were saying earlier, Kim, the religious right, or whatever you want to put it, I think has more than grounds to say we need to be more diligent on raising good children. We need to be more diligent on our morals, whether that's anti this or pro this, whatever it is. But we need to be more diligent on passing on our values to our children. I don't care. You might be a communist or something that I don't agree with your values. But if you're somebody who has principle and you actually want to stand on your values, we should be passing on those values to our children. And a lot of times we don't really care what we pass on to our kids nowadays.
Well, there becomes a point you need to be real with your children. And your experiences and what you went through, they should know about.
That's true. We shouldn't hide that from our kids. I agree.
Well, and the thing too is that, that's kind of a judgment. Because
like if you went to a party and you were raped when you were younger, and then you got this little 14, 15-year-old girl who thinks she wants to go to a party or whatever, she should know, like, what could happen.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And your experience can teach her or whoever.
That's if they will listen.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I just think that we can't. I don't like the men versus women dynamic at all. I like to think of not necessarily feminism, but working for all of us, and that's what I was bringing up a minute ago. I think we all have a lot of work to do. Men have a lot of expectations that have twisted our view of what we are nowadays too. Men don't necessarily know what we are anymore, or what our purpose is, where we stand in the relationship, in the family. I'm a more traditionalist. I think that the woman is the head of the house, or the man is the head of the family, and the woman is the head of the household. It's kind of the traditional way of putting it, because the woman will tell the man what's going to happen in her house because that's what she wants. But the man is like, hey, as a family, we got to make sure we get this and this done. The cars need work. The house needs work. It's sort of like a manager position versus like pretending like you're the owner. Business. I think families are like businesses in a lot of ways. It's like a little company. You have to think of it like, profit and earnings, and it's kind of intense nowadays with all the bills. Man, I wanted to list one day. I was thinking about listing all the things that you have to do within a year, as far as and like I'm talking like upkeeping the vehicle alone. There's probably several dozen things. Like if money was no object, we could list all the things that you have to take care of, as far as your house, your car, your computer, even yourself, your body, your pets, all of the maintenances, and all of the that most of us will cut a lot of that stuff out, because we just can't physically do it all. The checkups, the maintenances, like even just on your computer alone, there's all sorts of maintenance that needs to be done. And so we can't expect to have good relationships with other people if we can barely even keep up with taking care of ourselves. And that's using the term loosely. What's up, Chris and Jimmy Mead in the house, guys? If anybody wants to pop up, we're almost we're hour and 45 minutes in, so we'll be winding it down a little bit. But if anybody wants to share, for sure. I mean, I think I may have ruffled some feathers tonight, but I mean, I gotta do it sometimes. We gotta do it sometimes.
Well, I don't mean to ruffle feathers, but it's like, I don't know. There's some ideas out there that are just, I'm going to address them. Because
that's where growth happens. When you bring that stuff up.
And it might piss people off or whatever. And I don't mean to piss anybody off. I don't want anybody angry. I don't want anybody to have bad feelings or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. There's just some things that are just, I don't like prejudice. And so I work to uncover prejudice. I work to get that out and say, hey, you're being prejudiced, and that's not cool. It's okay to have your opinion. You might think something's disgusting or it's wrong or whatever, and you're okay. I'm okay with you thinking that way, but don't treat people mean because of that. People are people. We're all out there trying to figure it out. There's not a single person that walks a blameless path in this life. And I just don't think it's fair or right or just to pick on people because you don't agree with their lifestyle or, their differences, whatever it is about them that you don't like. I don't think it's right to persecute somebody for that.
Let me ask you then. Do you know about the soft bigotry of low expectations?
Yep.
So that is something that bothers me, is that we, in virtue signaling, where you have people that they just want to spout togetherness and positive vibes and love, and to an extent that's great, but there's some people that's just their whole shtick, and that's because they think that's going to be like it's almost like an extreme to the other side, where they look down on you in a way that they pity you in a sort of way. They look down at people and I pity that marginalized person. Let me speak out for them because they have no one to speak out for them, Right. And it's like, come on, that alone is a spit in the face to a lot of people, because we have strength that we don't a lot of times even think about. And especially those marginalized people that go through the hardships. That we talked about this, I think yesterday. You have to have struggle and hardship to grow as a person. If you were handed everything, and just like we mentioned, like a few people out there that are given the silver spoon, and that's very, very, very rare, and those people don't grow much. They don't.
That's how relationships are too. People grow, people change, and not always at the same time.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In education, we call that a productive struggle. So, you do not want, when you're teaching, you do not want your lessons, your methods of teaching, you don't want it to be so hard that you're going to frustrate the kids and they don't learn because they shut down. And you don't want it to be so easy that they're not learning anything, because that's not developing their brain. They're not growing, whatever. They're not increasing their knowledge base. We all need a productive struggle.
Speaking of, I got to pee. I'll be right back.
One of the things that really, really bothers me about a lot of things in general is that, and especially like with parents, is that they don't want their kid to struggle. They want their kid to be taken care of. And, and for me, I'm a special education teacher. So, I work with a lot of parents that, their children were born into this world under some very, very tough circumstances. There was a young man that's on my caseload, and he was born prematurely, and his mom is a real mama bear. And so she's very, very protective. And a lot of times parents carry guilt because, their kid is born with a disability or, whatever. And so they get overprotective and stuff like that. And they hover and they helicopter, and they get all upset when their kid runs into a barrier at school, this perceived thing. Oh, the teacher's picking on them, and it's like, it's not that at all. It's, it's something different. So
I don't think that's why we helicopter, though.
Oh, Jenna.
Shaking like a helicopter.
Well, I have a son that was born with a disability, and I'm not a helicopter parent. I'm very much an observer. I sit back and I watch. I knew my son, and I knew what he did. So I knew full well that if a teacher called me and my son did this, 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 and this, I believed the teacher when they told me that he did this, 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 and this, because I knew my son. And so if I got a call from his teacher or a principal or whatever, and they said, this is what your son did, and it fit within what I knew about my son, then my son, when he came home, we had a discussion about it. Because I knew my son, and my son was going to be held accountable for whatever that behavior was. It's like, you play, you pay, dude. But I run into a lot of parents. I just dealt with 3 parents this week that the kid went home and said, my teacher's being a big meanie because I'm failing the class and she won't let me do my work. Oh, okay, well, let's look at that, buddy.
You got to trust but verify.
I'm not a big meanie. I'm very, very reasonable, and I'm there for my kids to learn, but I want my kids to learn. I want them to be educated, because I know that when they walk out of that school, when they're 18, that world is not going to enable them. They're not going to, that learned helplessness that we're not doing kids justice with is not going to prepare them for the world that they're going to walk out into. Right. We can be as kind and loving and gentle and all of this good stuff that we want to be with these kids. And I'm not saying that we don't want to be that way, but at the same time, they've got to have a productive struggle, because they've got to have those coping mechanisms for when they get out there in that world.
But some of these kids with disabilities will never walk out into the world.
I agree with you. I agree with you. There are kids that are in incidence programs. I agree with you 100%. I don't work with those. The link
is there. Sorry. Come up, Jenna.
Come on up, Jenna.
I don't work with that population.
Come on up, Bobbert.
I work with kids, that are going to walk out into a world.
Yeah, it throws people off when you say that, Kim. When you say that you work with the special needs, she's working with kids that not necessarily are, mentally retardation or anything, but more on the side of like they don't get
even autism. The spectrum's all over the place. That's when
true.
She says it's like someone like my kid who will never do any of that.
Yeah. Well, I have a young man that I worked with for 2 years. I teach world history, which is a 10th grade curriculum, and then I teach principles of democracy, which is a senior curriculum. So I get these kids as sophomores, and I get them again as seniors. And I had this young man that I taught. He's a very high functioning autistic, and he's a very intelligent young man, very, very intelligent young man, but he will never be able to hold gainful employment ever. It doesn't matter how smart he is, his autism is a huge barrier to him ever being employable. And that's his reality. Are all autistic kids that way? No, there's tons of them. It depends on how the autism impacts them, but the majority of the kids that I work with are kids that are going to walk out into society, and they're going to hold a job, and they're going to have a family, and they're going to live relatively normal lives. And
Eric, are you over in Rumble still? He says I don't have any morals.
Kids that have these severe disabilities like that, that's a whole different ball of wax in dealing with kids like that. There's different ways that you deal with kids like that. Like I have a little girl in my class, and she wasn't born. Autism oftentimes is a genetic thing. This little girl had seizures when she was young. She had grand mal seizures that caused her to become autistic. And so she's a very super smart little girl. I mean, she's a super smart little girl, and she lives in her own little world, and she's got her own timeline for things. She's one that will probably never, ever be able to function out in society in a normal capacity. But she's so smart, just super smart. I hold her accountable differently for her work. I have my way of setting up my instruction, and I have my due dates, and I have my extended time set aside for kids to turn it in. Because not everybody is able to finish their work and get it turned in, in a timely manner. This is a little girl that will take this home, and she will work on it for 2 weeks, and then she'll come back and she'll hand me this beautifully done work that she's done on her own. So she fits into a whole different category of, the typical.
Yeah, because I helicopter because my son knows no sense of fear. No danger.
Yep. And you have kids like that you have to protect. You have to continue teaching them because they will learn. It just takes them a lot longer to learn. Yeah.
Eric. No, I totally
you have to protect them because they don't.
Well, you're touching on something here, Kim, that I think would be more. We should almost talk about this on a whole episode. The way people learn is so different from person to person, and if we were able to somehow pinpoint that a little bit, like say, obviously it'd be like psychology right now, but in the future you'd have a quantum computer and AI. You stick your finger in the hole and it pricks your finger, and then it'll tell you like, oh, you learn this way, and you're going to be like this, and this is, like it'll tell you all your medical issues eventually. But my point is, like, if we were somehow able to use a crystal ball and be like, this baby learns best in this way, eventually that would be the best way to teach people, because we might have more specialized people at that point, because you might have, the classic is how boys can't sit still in the classroom, and a lot of us are ADD, and we just aren't meant to work to learn that way, sitting still and being forced to be quiet and stare at the, that's just not the way a lot of boys are made to learn. And if we could figure out the strength to that, which is they're actually made to learn hands-on and out there in the world, maybe we could actually create a whole class or multiple classes of people that are more specialized in the ways that they learn. More creative, more people that are great math, whatever it is, that we can focus them in on that thing that they're super good at. You know what I mean? It's not
right now, the parents and the kid have to kind of find that themselves.
Yeah, and that's the part that we miss out on because we're busy working all the time, right? Go ahead, Kim.
Well, one of the things I know in my program, and I went through my teaching program about 20-something years ago, and there's learning style inventory. So you have kids that are auditory, you have kids that are hands-on. You have a lot of different learning styles, and then you have people that may be more gifted in certain areas. Like I'm not gifted in math. You hand me math and I suck at math. But when it comes to language and manipulation of language, I'm very gifted in that. So we all have like these strengths. And
I don't math very well either.
And it's typical. I'm going to say that part of that is, and I grew up at the tail end of a similar generation just behind yours, I think, Val, where girls were not taught math. And so I can add and subtract, I can do the formulas, I can do all that, but I don't have any math reasoning. Like I don't understand math reasoning, and girls were not taught that kind of stuff when I went through school. So I don't know if they do a better job of it now. I suspect that they might.
See, I took
that.
I took algebra and advanced algebra and all kinds of math classes.
Oh, I did too. When I went through college, I started out as a business major, and I had to take algebra. I had to take what finally got me was business calculus.
Calculus
in general got my ass.
Yeah,
I went to tutoring over and over for algebra, and then I said, "What's that?"
Yeah. Well, business calculus.
And now we have this.
And I did everything that I could to pass that fucking class. And I hit the last day to drop with a W, and I went and dropped that, and I had to change my major because it was a required class in my major, and I became a government major. So, I found my way around it. But, I can't remember what my point was.
Math.
Oh yeah. So learning styles, learning. So I know that one of the things when I was going through college and doing my degree was that they were really focusing on, instruction on hitting all the different learning styles, because you're going to have kids that are going to learn more auditorily by listening. That is like the smallest population. Most people are hands-on experience learners. They learn by hands-on experience, and that's just a fact. And so,
most people, you said, okay.
Don't tell me how, show me how.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, yeah, and so, and let me do it. So, guide me, let me, as I'm doing it, guide me through it. So that's like, what is that called? Scaffolding. So, that's one of the big pushes, is to hit on all of those different learning styles so that you can teach to a larger audience. When you get into a high school class where you've got 30 kids in a class, you've got to hit all of those learning styles, incorporate that in your ways of teaching.
That seems inefficient, though. Wouldn't it be better to separate those kids out into classes, but then? Well, then I wouldn't want them to
allow for that.
But then what is that thing called where they were separating kids out? I can't think of the term for it. You can't do that. That's
segregation.
That's discrimination.
We separate them already, like with the kids that don't want to learn as much, like the kids that are like troublemakers. They get
sent to that.
It's always been that way, though.
Well, you can't do that.
Those classrooms.
Cannot do that anymore. I'm telling you, parents are suing the living shit out of school districts for that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I am a big proponent of that. My specialty in special ed is working with emotionally disturbed kids. That's my background. That's my passion. That's what I went into special ed for. I could have gone in, I could have taught adults. I have credentials to teach at a college level. I could have taught all the high functioning kids. My choice was to go into special ed, and my choice was to work with emotionally disturbed, behaviorally disordered students, because that is the most hated population in school. Principals, parents, political people, whatever you want to call it, any of those people do not like those kids because they cause trouble on campus. They get into fights. They do all kinds of wicked
make them look bad. Yeah. Yeah.
And those kids, if you don't educate them, they end up
They
in the
take
prison
time
to
and resources.
pipeline to prison, whatever you call it, system. And it bothers me. Those are throwaway kids, and I don't like it when people throw kids away. It's like, because we end up with those kids in our society somewhere, and not away somewhere, and it's just not right.
I mean, it's hard to so I would have to bring perspective to that, because we can't force them to learn, right? But the other thing is, we talked about this, I think, yesterday. The beauty in life is the fact that we're all different, right? So there is going to be that high end portion of the society that's awesome at learning and being at school. Not necessarily the smartest people, but just the great people that go to school. And then you're going to have that other end where there's going to be that percentage of society that just is those kids that do not want to fit in the peg, right, or in the hole. So it's tough, because I feel like your heart's in the right place, but don't get too discouraged, Kim, because you're fighting a battle that's never going to be won. It's just worth fighting.
Those kids,
there's a lot of those.
Let me tell you something. Those kids find me. I'm not kidding you. They find me, and how they find me, I have no idea. But because you don't find those kids just in special education. There's plenty of kids that are just disenfranchised.
Yeah, they don't start off that way. The ones that you work with, a lot of them, were probably in a regular classroom, and then they.
Well, no, there's kids that are in regular ed classrooms that find me.
Right.
And I don't know how they find me, but they find me somehow or the other. And sometimes I notice them, and I'll find them, and I'll, whatever. But you cannot. I'm just tired of people, and there's a lot of parents, and there's a lot of politicians that sit there and go, wait a minute, this is not right what we're doing. We need to educate these people, because they end up being a drain in our system. They end up in prison. They end up in terrible social programs that are a drain on our system. So
I agree with you, though. It starts in the home. I'll agree with that. That's definitely 100%. All of those situations, the pipeline to prison starts in the home, and there's not a whole lot that we can forcibly do other than, in general, promote things that we think are right. Like myself, I'm going around promoting strong relationships and marriage and whatnot, even though I've never gotten there. But that doesn't mean that it's not something that I shouldn't be overall thinking that is a good thing. Like I overall think church is a good thing because of the community aspect, like local churches, not joining the mega church that's in whatever, like millions of people in there, whatever. Like, I mean, that local community kind of aspect of it. So even though I don't go, so my point is, like, you can definitely still be advocating for the right thing, even though it's not easy to get to. And I think you're doing that with what you're doing. And these kids need someone to care about them more than anything. I think that might be why they gravitate to you. And caring about people is not something that you can force. I think we should get paid. I think nursing homes should pay employees for a care pay, kind of like hazardous duty pay, but a caring pay. Yeah. You pay doctors for all the time and effort they put in to learn what they learn. But nobody, like, people are naturally caring or not. I mean, you might be able to learn to be more caring as a person, but like that's a natural skill that you just can't find everywhere. And my mom told me after 30 years of nursing homes, the horror stories of employees coming and going, not caring, not wanting to be there, not showing up. And then her doing all this work by herself, that's why she's had surgery on both elbows, both wrists, both, shoulders, all this stuff. And it's like, there's no substitute for real care.
No, there isn't. I agree with you.
Fake that. You can't fake that.
And most teachers care. Most teachers care. Now, you might get teachers that are burnout. You might
That's the problem, the burnout.
Franchised.
Mm-hmm. That's anywhere.
Bullshit that goes along with the profession. But teachers in general, it's very uncommon to find a teacher that doesn't care. And I'm not saying they don't exist, because I've seen plenty of them that do exist.
I don't think that's the problem. Some of them care about things that we don't necessarily think they should, and that's something that's been coming out with kids recording their professors and stuff like that? Have you seen some of those cases where it's not that the teacher didn't care, it's that the teacher was like kind of insane in the wrong direction kind of care, like, you know, and that's happened a few times where, you know, like, and I'm not even to get into any political specific topics, but we as parents need to be able to put our kids in an environment that fosters the values that we want. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to say every teacher across the board should teach my values, but I should have the option to take my kid to a place where they do teach those values. And to your point further, we should be paying attention. It's up to the parents and the teachers. You know, if no one's paying attention to you, then you may end up doing things that you shouldn't do and no one's watching. And so if we're not watching what our kids are learning, and that comes back to relationships, having that relationship with our teachers. And like my son is in special needs, so we have this app. It's called Class Dojo. And we can text message back and forth directly to our teacher. And it's so nice because, you know, it gives you that connection. But I also kind of think, what do you think about, and I don't know if we're really off topic, but we're past the 2 hours. But so what do you think about cameras in the classroom?
I want cameras in the classroom.
Like I can be on my phone at home and check in on my son's classroom, you know.
At least with kids with disabilities.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's just expensive. That's the problem. All of the I
asked at an IEP meeting why we can't have cameras, or why I can't put a tracking device with a two-way talk on my kid because it's against the law. And they said, well, you can get a medical waiver, but you got to go jump through hoops because I already looked into that too.
Wow.
But they told me at the IEP when I asked them why cameras weren't allowed in public schools, and they pretty much said because of the teachers union would have to vote that in.
Right.
Well, it's not just that, but there's I can tell you right now that it's a confidentiality thing with
the other kids.
Classroom.
During Corona, I seen you. You seen all the kids in the classroom. I seen all the kids in the classroom. We were all doing stuff together. What's the difference?
Hold on, though. I don't think like when we.
Who knows what you're doing on your end if some weirdo parent isn't videotaping kids and using it for pornographic purposes? I'm telling you, it's a confidentiality.
Then you should be. Then you would be prosecuted. Hold on, sorry.
We did do the Zoom meetings and stuff, but I'll clarify, at least for my situation, the kids were not in classroom environments. They were all at home, sitting in front of their like laptops or whatever, in front of their phones with their parents. So yes, that's very similar, but not the same, because if you were recording kids in their classroom environment, they're all running around, jumping around, playing with each other. Yes, you could have some nastiness going on, some person recording that. But when they're all just sitting there in front of the camera with their parents on a Zoom meeting, learning, I feel like that's a little bit different as far as like they know they're on the camera.
You shouldn't be allowed the code unless your kid's in the classroom and you're viewing your kid.
Right. Yeah, but
you're not just viewing your kid. I mean, there's other kids in the classroom. That's a confidentiality.
Why did we do it during
Corona? I would tell you right now. If I was a parent, if I were a parent, and that was my son, and somebody was sitting there peeping my son on a camera in a classroom, I would throw a fit and I would demand that my son's rights were not be violated like that. Because I don't know who the hell is tuning in, looking at my child, and what
there's no camera. What about two-way device?
Yeah, that's different. A two-way audio device.
So you can hear what the teacher's saying.
I don't know about that, but I do not want my son. I would never in a million years want somebody having that.
Yeah,
kind of
I understand that. But a two-way device where you can hear what that teacher or anybody else is telling your kid, they can't communicate.
Right. Look at what Cindy says though. Cameras on the bus. Now that brings up an excellent point. The camera on the bus, yes, but you can't access them from your phone. Yeah. But to that point though, if my kid's classroom was recorded but not given access to all the parents on an app or whatever, but just being recorded, because then if an incident happens, you can go back and check the tape. Yeah. That would be very valuable, especially special needs or any situations where there might be a fight or something. I want to see what really happened. I don't want to hear my son's story because he's going to probably come up with all kinds of different angles, you know, and it's like I want to see what happened. So, but there is an expense to it for sure. Mark says I took my kids out of public school and homeschooling them for us now on.
We have cameras at my school. Our high school has always had cameras. They built it with cameras. They got a grant and whatever. So we have cameras. We don't have them in the classroom. We don't have them in the bathrooms. But we have them out in the halls. But not everybody has access to them. And like if we show like video to a parent of a situation, then they like where you can't identify, like if there's other kids.
They blur it out, yeah. That's what they showed when my son got in a fight.
Yeah, because there's parents that are freaking crazy and they will hunt those kids down and they will go harass them. And there's just like, it opens up too many things. You know what I mean? And
well, that's the classic thing. That's the classic. You go to you take your dad down to the bully's house and your dad's supposed to fight the bully's dad.
Yeah.
And they go out into the, and they both put like pots and pans on their heads and they go around and do the Simpsons circle and then they headbutt.
Yeah.
Bobber, what are you making, bro?
I do think school's overrated, though. And a lot of these kids leave high school and they don't know very much.
Oh,
they don't know how to do anything to survive out here.
Yeah.
Let's see what Bobbert's making. I love the shades, man. I know they're for the light, but they're still badass.
Oh, you're so cool.
Oh, he's making a
that.
scene.
That's from SpongeBob. That's Gary. Hey, it's Gary. All right. Very cool.
Yeah.
Guys, go check him out. Baboso's Glass. All right. So there's no. It's just Baboso, not with an S on the end. Yeah. Wes says my son broke his collarbone at school, and they just put him on the bus and told him to stop crying.
Oh,
he did nothing.
no.
Oh, I have a similar story to that, Wes. I was in yeah, that's insane. But I know, but I kind of understand why. Well, there's a couple reasons, but I was in a wrestling camp in between, like in the summer break. It was like a week-long wrestling camp, and me and this other guy were going to demonstrate a move, and I was supposed to be his like demonstration dummy, right? And evidently I was, because it was a stand-up toss. It was a stand-up throw, where the guy, he's got one arm underneath an armpit and one arm over my other arm. And what you do is you lift and toss. Well, he did it the opposite direction and broke my collarbone, like completely broke it.
Oh my God.
Twisted you.
Like all the way broke. Yeah. And so my coach is looking at it. He's like, do this, and like, do this. And the whole time I'm like, he's like, oh yeah, just, probably a sprain or whatever. And I had a tank top on. Like you can still see it today.
Yeah, it's not in the right place.
That big
but you gotta understand that was back in the day. That was back in the day when children could be seen and not heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he was just like, it'll be nice. Finally called my mom, and then of course went straight to the emergency room, and then I wore this.
He slapped you on your shoulder and was like, walk it off. Well,
yeah, it's kind of like that. Well, how's that feel? I don't know. Something doesn't feel right, coach. Fucking loose bone, fucking falling around. Yeah, it was messed up. But yeah, I wore this bra thing for like 6 months or whatever. Like it's crazy, like strap thing that kept my shoulders pushed back. Yeah. Try meeting girls then. Try dating that around that time. You're pretty self-conscious. You got a cast on. I wore a turtle shell too. A turtle shell for 6 months. I broke my back. You're muted, Val.
Was the collarbone before or after the turtle shell?
Before, I think.
Oh.
If I remember right. It's hard to remember these things. I don't know why.
You went through a lot of pain.
How did I break it? It was a stress fracture. It wasn't a specific instance. What I think had happened, the only thing I could trace it back to was like I was playing basketball for fun at the local center there. And it's like, I remember having a pain in my back, but it kind of comes and goes as a stress fracture. And then later it got really bad when I was doing indoor track. It's a preseason track. It wasn't even the actual normal season. We're like doing this for extra track, extra running. And then I go to do this thing where I run one lap around the 400-meter dash. And I couldn't, before I even got around that third corner, man, I couldn't even feel my back down to my feet. And I couldn't even untie my cleats. Like, it was bad.
Oh my God.
Hey, off subject, Kim, did you get your package?
I did.
Oh,
I posted it on your thing. Or no, I tagged you somewhere.
was it some pretties?
Yeah, he sent me, remember on my birthday last week, he sent me that pendant he made?
I don't remember the pendant, but I believe it. Where is it? I want to see it. We got 27 people over on the Rumble, guys. Rumblers, we appreciate you guys. Let's keep going strong. We just found you like him, you don't like him. I don't care. Tucker Carlson's now on Rumble, guys. It's gonna make it explode. It's gonna make it all this controversy and whatnot and things, and it's gonna. I mean, you might like him or not, Val. He was the number one on TV until they found a way to get rid of him. And so he's going to bring a lot of people and a lot more controversy and eyeballs and
who
Tucker Carlson.
I don't like that man. I don't like anybody that's on Fox. I don't.
He's not on Fox. He was on
Fox. He was one of those.
Yeah, he was the only one that was left that was speaking the truth, and so they kicked him out.
I don't like any of those. I don't like anybody that's too extreme on either side.
I don't watch
I don't listen to any of them that are too extreme.
Yeah, he does a show on X now. Now he's moving to Rumble. Is what I was just putting out there.
Can you guys see the?
I see it. Yeah, you're in the bigger. You're in the bigger box, but I can make it even bigger. I thought, is that a hole in it, or like is it?
No, it's a swirl. It's like a dark.
Kind of looks like a green eye. What's so beautiful?
Yeah, not a brown eye. Green eye.
It's supposed to be like a version of like a fish eye.
Fish eye. That's cool.
Fish eye.
You like Tucker, Wes? Yeah, I mean, look. He like him or not, he speaks truth towards against the elites a lot of times on both sides. He calls out just as many people on the right. So you may think he's extreme, but I don't think so. I think he's actually a pretty good judge of character as far as what he looks at. Both sides.
When it comes to anybody that was on Fox or
you just shut him off as soon as you saw Fox. You probably never even heard much of what he said.
Now, if it comes off of Fox or CNN or CSNBC,
any of the big
I don't
legacy, mainstream news, legacy news, they're all about they're all a different twist. That's why they've been slowly getting rid of anybody who would actually speak their mind, and that's on both sides. Like people who might be extreme on each side, they're getting rid of people who actually will say the quiet parts out loud, kind of thing, and that they don't like that on both sides. So it's just funny. That's why you find this independent media growing strong on the Rumble, on the X. X is another one that's actually Elon supposedly is trying to make it less about censorship. Although he's done some things so far that didn't jive, but we'll see how it works out. I saw his interview on Rogan the other day, and it's interesting. But, he's a crazy cat. When you watch him, he's like
you keep going muffled, Waylon. It comes back, but off and on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh yeah, it just sounds like you keep like stepping away from your mic like this and coming back.
Yeah, it's a little muffled.
Testing.
There you go. You're
That's
back.
Hot down now. You hear it? Yeah. All right,
you hear me now?
guys. Let's. I think it's time to wrap it up. I think that was a really good show.
I think.
I hope people understand. And Val, you're actually a good example of this. Like I've pissed you off before in some of these topics, and then here you are. You're back. Because I think maybe you see the value in what we're doing. We're not up here just to piss people off. We're up here to sort of like just
No, I enjoyed the
debate. Kind of, yeah.
I might piss people off when I play the devil's advocate, but I usually say that's what I'm doing. So like, it shouldn't make you so mad when I'm like, hey, I'm just let's show the other side of this. So, but that's not it's not for me to tell you how you should be upset. So listen, I appreciate anybody that's come back afterwards.
Well, I don't know what I was upset about, but
I don't remember either. But you were like, he keeps talking about this. I'm out of here. It was like I think when we talk about like anytime you have to kill an animal or something. That really gets
I don't think it was you specifically.
Oh, that could be. That could be. Yeah. We get some crazy cats up here, so it's been a fun. Listen, this is our year-end show, I think. Well, hold on. Let me look at my calendar.
Like that relationship guy, huh, Lisa?
I thought about getting a hold of him. Like, yeah, we could have had him up here, and it would have been a different show, I think.
What relationship guy? What are you
Oh,
talking
you don't even want to know.
Oh no, we still got one more show this year.
Now I'm in.
Oh shit!
One more show. Well, but it's not about relationships. This, of all shows, this would have been the one to bring him up on. Although he would have just maybe taken up a lot of the airtime, I guess, is all.
He would have crashed and
Just to
burned.
throw this out there, whoever Facebook user is that did the heart, if you guys post,
yeah, I don't know who that is. We've had a Facebook user in here a little while. That John Doe
StreamYard.com/forward/Facebook. You put that in, and then all it does is you have to click the blue button and says that you accept it. Your comments will show up on.
You sound muffled too.
Yeah, you are.
StreamYard issue or something.
Possibly, yeah.
Oh,
During our live earlier, like when we got about halfway, it started. Everybody was just crackly a little bit. You know, it wasn't the whole time they were talking, but they say half the sentence and half the sentence it sounded all crackly. It was weird. But mine's probably because my my microphone keeps sliding.
That's sliding around on you. I need to get a hold of this company because I like the mic. Maybe they'll do something. Maybe they'll do something else. You're a Facebook user. Me too, John. Me too. Begrudgingly, I am.
Right.
Yeah, all right. It's been great, guys. Thanks again, Bobbert, for coming up. We didn't really hear your opinion on dating, but I guess a lot of people are not keen on that subject specifically. So we're gonna.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe's my best friend, and he's awesome. Good night.
Good night, Lisa.
Bye.
Good night, Joe. Thank you guys for hanging out.
Guys,
Go check out Kim on the Legit Bean Review Remastered. Boboso Glass. Is that the name of a page now?
Boboso, not yet. I still got Bobby's World and Bobby's
World. We got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Go check them out, guys.
Hey, if you guys do want to follow me on a page, follow Level Up Incorporated. Make sure
that's its own page now. Okay.
That's a group of us page. It's me.
Right, you're all running that page, right?
Yeah. And if you do want to, go ahead and join it before the 23rd, because we're gonna have a huge Christmas giveaway. All you gotta do is just be there.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, you know, I didn't even talk about this. I'm stupid. I know you hate it when I say that, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't even talk about my waffle. I got a waffle going on $5 a spot. I should have talked about it 100 times. It's for. Well, I got my car fixed, but it was an expense I wasn't expecting right before Christmas. So I put together a big package of goodies, like literally like $500 worth of stuff in one package. And on top of that, we've had 3 or 4 people donating on top of that. And it's just getting crazier. So more people are going to be more winners than just
how many
one.
spots?
Whatever you
unlimited.
Yeah, I've got. There's probably a couple hundred spots taken up right now.
Nice.
No, wait, that's not. Yeah, it's a couple hundred. 5 times. Let's see. I could do the math, but I'll do it later. A few, like probably 6 or 7 people have bought in, and $10-20 each. So
right.
It's been helpful for sure. I've already spent every dime, but my car's here, so
right.
There we are. But it's gonna go till Sunday. I mean, it's got stuff in there for growers, for non-growers. It's got, I could pull up a picture, but it's probably 10 pounds, 20 pounds worth of stuff that's going to go to one person alone. So, but yeah, it's just go to my Cash App, guys, the Indoor Farmer. If anyone's interested, there's still 10 people on Facebook, 20 people on Rumble, but they're not going to respond except Eric.
Goodies.
Love you, Eric.
I'm gonna go ahead and send you. I'm gonna go ahead and send you $10 for 2 random people spots.
Oh, well.
Sweet.
Oh yeah, Val, don't you have? Isn't Jay gonna get you some spots? I think he said.
Yeah, me and Elisa.
Well, he hadn't sent it to me, but hey, I'm not gonna bust his balls for it, I guess. But yeah, thanks, Bobbert. Appreciate that. I'm not sure. I'll give them away, I guess, on game night. Do like a giveaway to 2 spots.
Whatever. If there's ever one person that you feel is deserving, and they're like, oh man, I wish I could get in on that. You go, well, matter of fact, I got 2 spots. For you, buddy.
That would be cool, yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, share it out. Thanks again. Have a good night.
You said the Indoor Farmer?
Yeah, just the capital T with the.
Okay, cool.
Yep. All right.
Cool. You guys have a good night.
Thanks.
Later.
Good night, guys.
Wes says Nightman. If you guys are, if you're out there and you're fans of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you know about Dayman versus Nightman.
Gotcha.
Anyway, good night.